welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always, my girlfriend Carol. How you doing, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
We're in a rush today.
Apparently. You like to talk like the Micro Machine Man.
Well, now you gotta get rid of no, it's good. We've had a good week here at Massive Late Fee. It is August 4th, 1995. And guess what?
What?
I got some news for you.
What's up?
I got some news for you. Now, 1995 is going to be even more 1995-ish.
How is it possible for something to be even more of itself?
Because Windows is releasing Windows 95.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it will actually be, better, if the computer will move faster, because God knows my computer moves too slow right now.
Well, apparently, it's getting rave reviews right now. It's going to replace Windows, which is still a very popular operating system, as they call it. According to David Powers, an analyst with Edward D. Jones, Windows 95 will be the most significant launch the PC industry has seen in the last decade.
Did you even use a computer before Windows came out?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I've seen what it's like, because, I have computer nerd friends who...
With the command prompt stuff?
Yeah, they have DOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just type into it, and it's like, wow, that sounds hard and boring and terrible.
Well, you have to know all these different codes and shit. Yeah, it's so dumb. But it's a great innovation, honestly, for computing. They say they're going to sell at least $1 billion within a year of its launch. It's launching at the end of this month.
Wow.
August 24th, 1995.
Crazy.
Yeah, and apparently IBM feels defeated by this, and that their operating system, OS2 Warp, may completely disappear. So,
considering that I've never heard of it, does not surprise me.
Oh, I've heard of it. You have very limited experience when it comes to computers, though. You've just had the one computer.
Yeah.
So
you've had multiple computers?
No, I've only had the one computer too, but with, like you said, with friends and stuff. I mean, my cousins have had computers for a few years now. I think since maybe the late 80s or early 90s, they were early adopters of computers, and they had that DOS thing, DOS, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Disk operating system. They had that thing.
You know what my aunt has on her computer that I want?
Gonorrhea.
No. Ew.
What? What does she have on her computer?
No, what do you think people are doing to the computer, Mark? No,
I've seen Weird Science. They're making girls with the computers, right?
Right. No, it's this this thing. She likes it because it reminds her of Pong, which was like the 70s handheld thing. I think. Yeah. Or arcade. Was it handheld or arcade?
No, neither. Oh. Neither one of those things that you said.
What was it?
It wasn't handheld, and maybe they had them in arcades. I'm not sure, but it was the first. Pong was the first home video game system. So, before Nintendo or anything like that, it was, and before Atari even, it was just Pong. It was like a console like that. You plugged it into your computer, and then you could play. It had a joystick, and you could play it on the TV.
Well, she has this thing, and it's so cool. It has these little tiles in, the shape of different things, and then you've got, a paddle that you move along the bottom of the screen, and a ball that's bouncing and breaking apart the shape. So,
interesting. And did you have to break all of them?
Yeah. And it's different stuff like an apple or a banana or
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's so addicting and mindless, but I love it.
It does sound cool.
Just watch it go bong.
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 Is that what it's called? Bong?
I can't remember what it's called. Mom said she'd buy it for me, but I can't remember what it's called.
Well, pretty soon we're not going to have to remember what any entertainment thing is called because it's all going to be Disney. According to this next article.
Yeah?
Disney to dominate entertainment world. Do you know why?
Why?
because they have just reached a $19 billion deal
Wow.
to purchase Capital City / ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Uh-huh.
So Disney will now own ABC, the station, and all of its Capital City will become a subsidiary of the Disney Corporation. So all the things that Capital City / ABC owns, I believe ESPN is part of that. So they're gonna have their movie industry. Let's see. Let me give you a little rundown of what it says in here that they'll own. So they'll create a global multimedia behemoth whose interests stretch from theme parks in 3 countries, that's the Disney part, to top-rated ABC television network, from television and cable companies around the world. So they'll own different television and cable companies and different cable channels because Capital City owns a few different cable channels. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks hockey team, and from the powerful Disney movie-making industry to the influential women's wear daily fashion trade magazines.
Sounds like they're getting to be a little too big. Like maybe Monopoly.
Yeah, well, it's close. And they announced it on ABC's World News Tonight. Let's see, 14 television monitors showing the combined logos of the two companies with Mickey Mouse standing above Cap City's, his white glove hands spread open as if to embrace the world.
See, you know what it is Mickey Mouse is pure magic, and Disney World is pure magic, and all Disney things are, and then you just slap that logo on anything, and it no longer seems like it could possibly be anything other than good and pure and magic.
Yeah, well, Michael Eisner is steering them into the future here. This has got to be the biggest deal that Disney will ever make in its entire history.
Well, I mean,
$19 billion and buying this large of a multimedia conglomerate. I mean, it's got to be the biggest deal they'll ever make.
For sure, and they're going to have to slow down now. I mean, that's too much. Like I said, they're going to start running into problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Microsoft, Bill Gates' company, which is going to make $1 billion off of this Windows 95 in less than a year. Maybe they'll start carving into some of these entertainment things too.
Maybe. That'd be weird.
The whole thing's weird. It's all weird.
It is weird. It's a weird world.
What was the last Disney movie that you watched or that we watched together?
I don't remember.
Disney's got that like Buena Vista or whatever subsidiary. I think that's still active, where they make movies that aren't animated too. So I'm not sure.
I don't know. My mom owns all the Disney movies on VHS, so
we watched The Lion King last year and we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, but I mean, I've more recently watched like Alice in Wonderland with my nieces.
Yeah,
and probably. I think Alice in Wonderland's the last one I watched.
I think there's live action movies that Disney makes that we don't even realize that Disney makes, though.
Probably.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I think there are some.
I heard Disney's coming out with another movie this year.
What's that?
Toy Story?
No, that's not Disney.
Oh.
That's some company called Pixar.
Oh.
George Lucas started it, actually, as part of Industrial Light and Magic, the special effects company that he started for basically Star Wars. And then I think they sold it to Apple and Steve Jobs, and now I think it's its own thing now.
Okay.
But Disney, now here's the thing, though. You're right in this. I believe Disney's distributing the movie.
Okay.
Pixar made and produced the movie. They wrote, directed, produced it, and everything. But you need a distributor to distribute it to different movie theaters and things like that. And I think they partnered with Disney because it's supposed to be some kind of animated film. So we'll probably see it when it comes out. It looks interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to, take my niece and nephew.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever.
Whatever.
We gotta have the niece and nephew sitting between us.
Yeah. Yeah, when we're watching cartoons, we do.
I call her niece Cock, and I call her nephew Block.
Oh, you're an ass. Seriously, loser.
What is that?
You know.
I know what.
You know what you did.
What?
You know you're wrong.
It's
Anyway.
a joke.
Anyway. We saw a really good movie this week.
We did see a movie this week.
You don't think it was a really good movie?
Well, why don't we talk about it? I don't like to tip my hand like you do. So
We saw something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And it is.
Yep, it's something we're going to talk about. That's for sure.
No, it's Julia Roberts.
Nope.
Yeah, huh?
No, it's not. Julia Roberts isn't in this movie.
Yeah, huh? What are you talking about?
Sandra Bullock's in this movie.
No, that was the net. You're getting confused. Are you getting dementia?
Kara Sedgwick's in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. But Julia Roberts is the star. And
That's debatable.
in this movie... No, it's not. And in this movie, she is partnered...
Just because she's in every scene and the story is about her character?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah.
that's... Story checks out.
She's married to Dennis Quaid.
Yep. Very lucky woman.
He's all right. Not very lucky in this story.
Randy Quaid's son, Dennis Quaid.
Shut up.
We rented National Lampoon's Vacation over the weekend, and Carol said, Randy Quaid, is that Dennis Quaid's dad?
Now, mind you, I was not looking at him, okay? I didn't know who he was. He mentioned he was in the movie, so I was like, oh, is it his dad? Not based on looks.
He's 4 years older.
Yeah, but that's definitely not old enough to be his dad. But, National Lampoon, that's another movie. We could talk about that, a whole episode there.
We could?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you liked it. You're sure acting like you didn't like it.
I liked it, but there was a lot of disturbing stuff that went on in that movie that I would talk about. But anyway, back to what we are talking about right now, which is Julia Roberts and Dennis Quaid. Okay.
Dennis Leary.
No, stop trying to mess me up. You're confusing me. It's not right.
It's very hard to do, confuse you.
So...
You're unflappable. Mm-hmm.
The movie starts out kind of illustrating how, like, disconnected their relationship is.
Oh, interesting.
What is your problem?
This is more cerebral than you usually take it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, like, just that opening scene where, like, they get up and they don't say anything to each other the whole time. They get up, they get dressed, they go through their whole morning routine. No words.
Wow.
And yeah, and then...
It's a nice stylistic choice.
Yeah, I liked it. So, and then, she keeps throughout the whole movie forgetting her daughter. I don't really know what's up with that.
Yeah, I don't... She keeps forgetting her daughter or forgetting she's around.
Yeah.
Because she'll have conversations that she should not have in front of her. It's weird.
Yeah, because I don't think that was necessary for her character or for the story.
This movie's written by a woman, which is very apparent because it accurately portrays a woman's point of view, I think, throughout this. There are things that happen and things that are said that I don't think would occur to a male writer to include. Okay. So I think it's good to have this perspective, obviously. But I wonder almost if there are certain aspects of this story that are personal to the writer's life. And maybe some of those little details, like the mom forgetting the daughter all the time, is something that occurred in her life.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is why it doesn't fully connect to the character in a way that drives the plot, but it's sort of like a spice in there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you could look at it as she's so upset about, what's going on in her life that, she's distracted and not taking good care of her daughter because of that.
Yeah, that's definitely an interpretation.
But it turns out that her husband is cheating on her. She finds this out by seeing him kissing a woman on the street corner. What the hell?
Wearing a red dress like a whore. Some blonde woman. She looks different than Julia Roberts. Like,
yeah.
Julia Roberts has got the big lips and the red hair and everything, and this woman's blonde and paler and thin-lipped.
I guess. Yeah, they're definitely different looking people. What does that matter, though?
I don't know. Just guys usually seem to have a type. I don't know. He's all over the map here.
Well, yeah, he's all over the town here, so I don't think he does have a type.
Well, in his defense, we only learn about 2 conquests that he makes in this town.
That's true. When she announces to the entire room full of people, she wants to know if her husband has had any kind of sex with any of them. Yeah.
No one else steps up and says, yeah, I have. Not that, I mean, maybe somebody's keeping it a secret still. I don't know. But I feel like she would have found out.
Yeah.
But they did say in high school he was, I believe his nickname was Hound Dog.
Right.
So
I didn't like that conversation that she had with her sister, Kira Sedgwick, though, when she said that to her, because it's like she's blaming. It's like she's blaming her.
There are so many conversations in this movie that I do not like. Everyone is against her in this movie. Maybe we should set things up. Well, I guess we kind of did. He's cheating on her. She finds out because she sees him, like you said. And then everyone is against her. Her dad owns some horse ranch or farm or whatever the hell they call it. I don't know.
Yeah, and he raises horses and races them.
He raises and trains horses. And I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a race. He presents.
Okay, he
them.
shows them.
Yeah, I guess it's a competition of sorts, but it's not like it's not, at first, because they explain it to you. But at first, he was talking about some. I think they do call it a race, Grand Prix race or something like that, or I think they just call it the Grand Prix.
Yeah,
but I thought it was like a Kentucky Derby style horse race or something, because Robert Duvall, who plays her dad, says, I'm going to ride him. And I'm like, you don't look like a jockey. What the fuck are you talking about? But it's not one of those. It's the kind that you would see in the Olympics where they're jumping over those jumps with the poles and everything.
Horse training and stuff is in the Olympics?
It's called equestrian. Yeah. They'll do different kind of, I think there's one where they kind of present the horse in different, they're showing off their skills riding. It's basically showing off your skill of riding a horse. I don't really watch it, so I don't know a lot about it. But I do believe they also have this thing that they showed in here where you're kind of having a race. It's like an obstacle course race, sort of. It's as fast as you can get around, but if you make mistakes, you get penalized a certain amount of time. And that's kind of how they figure out who the winner's going to be.
Okay.
But so that's the kind of racing that they're doing, and he's training horses for this, and he's got a whole crew, and she works for him.
She's the ranch manager?
Yeah, something. Or stable head.
So that was it, stable manager.
But he's doing a deal with Dennis Quaid's family. This is a real small town. I believe they're in Georgia, or they're somewhere in the south.
Somewhere in the south, for sure.
But it's a real tiny town. And he's doing a deal with Dennis Quaid's family. They've known each other for years, apparently. During this whole time, they're doing some sort of deal, this land deal. And everyone, to your point, everyone in this movie at one point or another speaks so horribly to Julia Roberts' character. Her sister, like you said, says, what did you expect when you married someone whose nickname in high school was Hound Dog?
Yeah, she's like, you weren't just hit by a train. This didn't just happen to you. Like, what the fuck? They are married. They have a child. Like, this is not high school.
Right. And they intimate that she got pregnant while dating him.
Yeah, by mistake.
And that's why she could have used a condom from Andrea Zuckerman's class there. But yeah, they indicate that that's what happened, and she was kind of forced into marrying him, I guess. Well, not forced, but they both felt obligated.
Yeah, they both felt trapped by the pregnancy and got married under those kind of circumstances, which is definitely not ideal.
Her dad is a piece of shit. Robert Duvall basically says, hey, this is a real bad time for this to be happening. You know, I got to deal with this guy.
Yeah, like, who gives a shit about your fucking deal?
And even the mom is more on her side, but she's kind of like, she hedges a lot. She's like, oh, he made a mistake, but it's your job to pick him up and put him back on the right path and all this stuff.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, when she sees him cheating on her, right, she has to now go through the rest of her day.
Yeah.
And she hears message after message on the answering machine of him saying, oh, I'm going to be home later.
They have the same answering machine I do, too.
And, and I can understand, like, how she's just seething, waiting for him to come home, and she can't take it anymore, so she goes and looks for him, which, again, like, small town, obviously.
She takes her child.
Yeah. Out of
How old do you think this kid is? 12, maybe?
I think the actress, is, like, 9. I think they're acting like she's older, like maybe 10 or 11. Like, she looks, because she's so little. Mm-hmm. And, like, just the sound of her voice and stuff, she sounds young.
Okay. But, yeah, she's around that age. But she takes her daughter with her. She's in her nightgown. She doesn't even get dressed, Julia Roberts.
Both of them are in their pajamas.
And she sees that he's in this restaurant with this girl and a group of other people, and one of the guys goes, oh, looks like you're busted. So obviously they all know he's fucking around.
Right.
So he's making her look like a fool, which she says.
Yeah.
I totally get that. But she gets out, she bangs on the window, and just like mouths, get out here right now.
Yeah.
He comes out and she starts yelling at him and everything about, she's like, he tries to deny it like any guy would. I don't know what you're talking about. We're just him. And she's like, I saw you. And he's like, oh, that wasn't me. I don't know what you saw. And then she goes, no, I know exactly what I saw. And then he finally gives up.
She's like, that's all I get.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to stand here and lie to me? Like, yeah, he deserved bad things.
Mm-hmm.
So her mother later is talking to her and it's like, I understand you were upset and stuff, but, let's try to just keep things quiet. Make it a family matter. She's like, people are going to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Everybody, they have a PTA meeting early on in this movie. Or something.
It wasn't a PTA.
They're making some kind of cookbook.
Women's League. Women's League.
Yeah, the Women's League puts out a cookbook. And in this cookbook, they're all listed under their husband's names.
Yeah.
So, like, Mrs. Frank W. Murphy or whatever. I don't know. Frank was one of the names, but I can't think of the last name.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like that, right? And Julia Roberts says, hey, I think that we should just be listed by our own names. First, middle, and last name. And some of the women are for that. Some of the women are like, yes, let's be more progressive. And then some of the women are like, I'm proud to be married to, this person. We're like, this is how I'm known. And who's going to know? I could be his daughter, And so there's kind of a little argument about it. But we get a nice flavor of the town. The town's not as progressive as maybe a lot of the rest of the country is, or places where you might live. They're a little more antiquated. They talk about tradition gets talked about a lot.
Yep.
In this movie, that's a heavy theme of this movie. Decorum is a heavy theme of this movie. And the nature of, I grew up in a small town, so I know what it's like, the nature of small towns and privacy and everyone kind of knowing everybody else's business. That's a big thing here. And that's the mom knows that people are going to talk and, that she doesn't want to be the source of gossip.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's just terrible. Like Julia Roberts says, she's like, I don't have time for the mental breakdown that I deserve right now. And she really does. Like, she has to get up and just keep living life and, go to work and all. Like, she should have at least a day to frickin' stay in bed. Oh, well, yeah, because so many things are going on. But yeah, this race is going on. The Women's League thing's going on. She's still got to take care of her daughter. There's the one guy wants to leave. He's like, I'll stay around to the competition, but then I'm gone because the horse that he's training and the horse that he's supposed to ride is ready to go. He thinks for this race, and Robert Duvall, who's the owner of the farm, says, we're not racing that horse. We're racing my horse, and I'm going to ride him. This is like his swan song competition or whatever. I don't know. But so we got that going on, and then we've got another new guy who comes in from California, I believe. I don't remember. He's got, I think it's his horse, I believe. Like,
Robert Duvall's buying the horse or something like that. There's some kind of thing where he says the horse is worth this amount of money. I'm paying like $100,000 for this horse or something. Just buys it out of the blue at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, which she's really, upset about, which, it is his business, whatever. I mean, if he wants to buy a horse, he should not really get yelled at for that. But
But she works for her dad. Dennis Quaid works for his dad.
Yeah.
It's that kind of town and those kind of families. It's old slave money. All these people's families owned slaves.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One of my favorite parts of this movie, though, is the old grandma that lives there, who you don't really see very much.
The only one on her side, by the way.
Yeah. Comes to her and says, oh, you should do something to, get back at him. Like, I always told my husband, if he's going to step out, I'll get him,
where he lives. Dennis Quaid wants to have dinner with her, and he wants to take her to a restaurant, and the grandma says he wants to take you someplace where he thinks that you won't make a scene, but no place like that exists. Because they're still trying to work, they're still trying to talk, I guess, and kind of work things out. She moves out when this whole cheating thing comes out, and she takes her daughter, and she goes to stay with her sister, Kira Sedgwick.
On her dad's property.
Yeah. Who kicks, by the way, when Dennis Quaid comes and visits them, Kira Sedgwick just knees him right in the balls.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hilarious. But, so that's, where she's at while this whole stuff's happening, and the grandma says, yeah, there's no place that you wouldn't make a scene. He doesn't realize that or whatever. She says, have him do it at the house and make a nice dinner for him. She's like, make this chili lime or whatever it is, salmon. The salmon with mustard, some kind of mustard sauce.
Right.
And she says, make this. She hands her the recipe, and she's looking at it, and she goes, this is your favorite part, so you tell it.
Well, I mean, it's just background to get to my favorite part, really. But yeah, so she's like, oh, and she's like, oh, it was not lethal in that small of a dose. Right. So we have no idea for sure what kind of poison it is, but, it's poison.
It's something you have to be able to find around, I guess. Because I was thinking like maybe arsenic or something like that, but you can't just find a jar of arsenic around. So maybe it's antifreeze, maybe it's something, bleach. Or
Epicac.
Yeah, but I don't think
old-fashioned family, they probably have Epicac.
Well, I'm sure they do have Epicac syrup, but I don't think Epicac's lethal. Epicac just makes you vomit. Like, I don't think it's... you can, like Karen Carpenter did, you can abuse it to vomit if you're a bulimic, and then, like, taking the Epicac habitually like that can... It just because it destroys muscle. So... that it weakened her heart. It basically destroyed her heart muscle. That's how she died.
Aww.
But I don't think you can. I guess like anything else, you probably could overdose on it. But it's not what you would call a traditional poison, because it's basically designed for you to throw it up.
Mm-hmm. So she feeds him this meal, and she's just talking to him, obviously not eating. And, he's eating, and then it's like they kind of start to, like, they're getting closer. Like, she's like thinking, oh, maybe we can work things out. And
romance is happening.
Yeah. And then he's doubled over, and she's like, oh, no.
I made a mistake.
I got to take you to the hospital. So that kills that.
She takes him to the hospital, and he says, get a lawyer.
Yeah. So her mom shows up at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And... she assumes, and I can understand why Julia Roberts assumes that her mother is aware that her husband, her father, Julia Roberts' father, cheated because of the way she acted, because of the way she responded. Because in the beginning when she's talking to her, she's like, it happens in the best of marriages, blah, blah, blah. So she's just like, lays into her and says, I was ashamed of how you acted when Daddy stopped out on you when we were kids and stuff.
That you just accepted it.
Yeah.
And she's like, at least my daughter will know that I didn't, like, roll over or whatever. Because she basically says, she's like, how could you listen to that old fool? Like, why would you do this? I mean, in her defense, she poisoned him.
Yeah.
It's like an attempt on his life. It's not a small matter. They both violated some pretty heavy trust here.
So her poor mother obviously had no clue. and she just looks stricken and walks away. And my favorite part of the movie is because the mom locks the dad out of the house. And he's just out on the lawn like a freaking animal, and everybody laughs at him. That whole thing is my favorite part of the movie. Like him being outside, their exchanges, the doctor coming,
right,
all of it.
Well, yeah, that whole part of the movie, like you said, it's sort of a running gag or a running thing throughout the movie. He's sleeping in the barn, basically. And like you said, he is kind of treated like a wild animal because she talks to him and she says, I can't, oh, you had sex with this woman or whatever. He says, I never cheated on you. I fooled around a little. What does he consider cheating then? Like a long-term affair? Like dating another woman for years and having sex multiple times?
Maybe he didn't have, full intercourse or something. So
no, I don't think that's what he means.
No.
I think he means what I said.
Okay.
That he didn't have like a long, like it wasn't like a relationship. He just had sex with a couple women, one-offs a couple times. I think that's what he's talking about.
That's awful.
And he's like, oh, I just fooled around. Like, that's no big deal. And yeah, she's like, oh, you treat me like a fool. You don't respect me and everything. If you come in here, I'll call the cops or whatever. And she slams the door. And she also says, like you said, she said, I've had my opportunities too. The doctor said that I have beautiful hips or something like that. And he goes, well, I wouldn't put any faith into something somebody said 40 years ago or whatever, which, by the way, is insulting in and of itself. But she goes, last week. He told me that last week. By the way, the mom is played by the amazing Gina Rowlands, John Cassavetes' wife.
And she's gorgeous.
Peyton
even
Place
still as an older woman.
Yeah, Peyton Place and all that stuff. So she's excellent in the movie.
So then the grandma pretends to be sick, so they have to call the doctor while he's still outside. And, they have a confrontation. Yeah,
he's like, hey, did you say this? And you can see the doctor's kind of flummoxed, and he's like, yeah, I did, because...
Well, she does.
Right? And so then they start, like, he starts to, like, box him, and the women come out and everything. They're like, oh, my gosh. And the doctor's sitting there, he's got, like his fists up facing him, like in that old 1920s style where, like a cartoon or something. Let me at him, like that kind of thing.
I used to box in the Navy.
Yeah. And you hear Robert Duvall go, I wrestled, And
it's funny.
Yeah, but they break him up, and the doctor gets to go on his way without getting a pasting, or vice versa, I guess.
A pasting?
Yeah, like a beatdown.
I've never heard that one before.
And eventually, Gina Rowlands forgives him.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cute. Like, the little granddaughter, Julia Roberts' daughter, asks her why every time that Grandpa rides by on his horse does he, do a little salute to you and you stand up and everything. And she says that the first time that she saw him come by on a horse, she was so moved, like she stood up because he just looked so great or whatever, and then he did that little wave to her. So
it's another tradition,
and that's something that they've always done. Which and so then when he did finally ride, she was like, oh my god, she didn't stand up though, did she?
No, the grandmother says it's just a guy on a horse,
right? So cute.
But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of love in that marriage.
Yeah.
So I guess they're willing to try to work things out. Obviously, he hasn't cheated in a long time.
Right.
And probably has no desire to now. But, that doesn't mean that he can't pay for mistakes that he made in his past.
For sure.
But I think it's maybe a little easier for them to get over than the other.
It happened a long time ago.
Than the other relationship, because he's been faithful for a number of years now at this point, and probably your sex drive wanes as the years go on. And I think,
God, I hope not.
don't you think so? That happens?
It probably does, because you don't want to think about old people having sex, but I don't want to get old either.
I think it's more about companionship as you get older.
Yeah.
But anyway, so. Now, Julia Roberts has a choice here, because this new guy selling the horse to her dad and everything, he's all Brett Cullen about things. You know, he's a nice looking guy. He kind of looks a little like Dennis Quaid. They look a little alike.
Yeah, a little bit.
And he's, you know, she's attracted to him for sure. She talks to him, and apparently he's divorced as well. Or, well, he's divorced. She's contemplating getting divorced. The little daughter's like, Mom, are you getting divorced? You know, and everything. It's very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And she says to Keira Sedgwick, should I invite him over for dinner? Yeah.
And she responds, well, you just call him up and ask him what he likes to eat. And if he says pussy, you tell him to come on over.
See, now that's something that a woman would write that a guy wouldn't write. Like a woman saying that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
See, because it would never occur to you that women would talk like that, or?
Well, I'm saying it wouldn't occur to most male writers, I don't think. Most male screenwriters.
I can see that.
And so anyway, they what's funny is I was going to make that joke too while we were watching the movie, but then Keira Sedgwick made the joke and I was like, oh, that's awesome. So she, you know, they go out to drink. Keira Sedgwick takes her out to drink. By the way, Dennis Quaid, he meets with this predatory lawyer. So let's talk about Dennis Quaid's character for a minute.
Sure.
'Cause we've talked about a lot of the other characters. Let's see the movie from his point of view for a second.
Okay.
It turns out as they have this discussion that Julia Roberts hasn't touched him or wanted to have sex with him or expressed any interest in him at all for quite a while.
Right.
Several years, apparently.
Is it years?
Yeah, he's like 5, I think it's 5 years or something like that.
Oh my
It's
God.
quite a while.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if
that.
I don't know if they, and she says to him, I have an orgasm every day. I've just become so used to doing it with you not in the room.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
Ugh, yeah, that cuts if you're a guy for sure. But so there's obviously underlying problems.
Right.
Like we talked about before, they got married because she got pregnant. He said, I didn't think you were going to say yes. So it was clear.
That cuts for a woman.
It was clear that he felt obligated to propose to her because he got her pregnant. And then she said yes, and he felt obligated to go through with it, felt stuck. And, you know, the foundation of their marriage is very rocky.
It's so weird, though, if they got together in high school. Like, she was almost done with college when she got pregnant. That's a long relationship to have it be so shaky. Yeah, it's true. But I mean, there are solid foundations there as well. It's not all shaky, but the impetus of their marriage was pretty shaky. Yeah.
But yeah, as you pointed out, she was a semester away or a year away from graduating veterinary school. And she quit to have the baby and raise the baby, and felt obligated to go to work for her father and start to earn money, I guess, or whatever. And Dennis Quaid said, no one asked you to quit. And I guess she just felt like that's what he wanted. Maybe he slightly indicated that, but never said it, or maybe he said something that she interpreted that way. Problem is they didn't talk about any of this, obviously. Because Dennis Quaid was like, hey, you know, it's fine to do this, to, you know, like he didn't seem like he cared if she followed her dream.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't seem like he was dead set against it.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would, you know, want to keep her away from anything.
So after she poisons him,
yeah,
he has a meeting with this lawyer who, you know, he's like, hey, I think, you know, we're going to get divorced and all this stuff. And he's like, okay, well, tell me about her. And he goes, does she drink? And he's like, no, not really. And he goes, never? And she's like, well, she might have like a glass of wine on the weekend or whatever. He goes, then she drinks. And he's like writing down drinker. And he's like, don't write that down.
Right.
He's like, she's not like that. And he's like, look, don't be a baby. You know, this is how things go. He's like very predatory, you know, like kick your ass kind of divorce lawyer.
He wants to win.
And he's like, he says she's going to use that kid of yours to take everything that you own. And Dennis Quaid's like, okay, I'm done. Like, I've had enough of this. Like I told you, it's hard to make Dennis Quaid not likable.
Yeah.
He's like, his personality, the way he comes across on screen is a very likable person. So I think that's good casting in that case because it generates more sympathy for his character. You can kind of see where things come from. And as you know, some of the conversations they have where he's like, you know, how can we get back to where we used to be?
Right.
You know, we're broken, obviously. And he says to her, he's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do counseling? And, you know, she mentions divorce and he's like, or he says, do you want to get divorced? And, you know, she's like, well, is that what you want? And he goes, I'm talking about counseling, you know, but I want to do what you want to do kind of thing. His character is kind of, it's complicated.
Yeah.
He did bad things, but there are rationalizations you can kind of give them for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's not continuing to see other women, too. That comes up with the lawyer, you know. So, I mean, it makes it a little bit easier because he's not... If he was, like, in a relationship with somebody, that would be a lot harder for them to reconcile, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he stopped his extramarital activities.
Yeah, when there was no marriage left.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that happens to a lot of guys, where that's what happened to my dad, where
Your dad cheated?
No, my dad, okay, so sorry, Dad, but my dad's an alcoholic, so my dad had, problems as an alcoholic that affected his marriage. When my mom finally told him she wanted a divorce, my dad gave up drinking.
But it was too late.
It's too late, you know. And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of guys is they straighten up too late.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, then they can't fix what they would like to fix.
But what's cute with them is like there's a party after the Grand Prix or whatever.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Are we? Okay, go ahead.
Well, we were going to talk about the chance she has.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You tell it.
Well, okay, so yeah, Kira Sedgwick took her out drinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's like literally got her head on the table and she's crying and she's sitting there by herself. And the guy comes over, the guy, with the horse. And he's like, pretend I just said something so funny. And, just starts like making her feel better and stuff. And he drives her home. He offers to drive her home because Kira Sedgwick is going to go get her groove on. She found somebody for the night.
Yeah, some cowboy.
And they pull up to her house, and he's like, she just sits in the car, and he's like, "Is this not where you want to be?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to go home."
I didn't want to go home. Yeah.
So I mean, she's obviously angling.
He says, "I would invite you to my place for a nightcap." And she goes, "Okay."
Yep. Which his place is on their property too. Everywhere is on on her dad's property.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a slave family.
Yeah, that's true because they have all these little houses. Oh my gosh, I didn't really make that connection.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you walk in and the bed's right there. It's like literally, he's got like a mini fridge.
There were 14 families living in there in 1860.
Right.
But she talks about how she lost her virginity in there.
So yeah. And then, he starts kissing her, and it seems like things are going to happen.
She takes the top off.
Yeah, but
we get to see Julia Roberts in just a bra.
No, she didn't get to her bra.
Didn't she? I thought she did.
She unbuttoned. She didn't take it all the way off.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she stops.
Not that there's a lot to see there.
She stops herself though because she feels guilt, and she's like acting crazy. She's talking to her husband like he's there. Like, of course you'd ruin this, and I don't have anything to feel guilty about, and blah, blah, blah.
It's the ghost of her marriage.
Right. It's pretty fucked up. I would have been done way faster than this guy was. He must have really wanted to have sex.
That's a normal guy move.
But eventually, they realize that this is not good and not going to happen.
So a guy would have sex with a possessed woman. Her head would be spinning around and everything, pea soup spilling out.
Oh, and she's like, "You are not revenge." Like,
right.
It's all messed up. So instead, they go and eat some pecan pie. Consolation prize, pecan pie.
They don't eat pussy. They eat pecan pie.
I love pecan pie.
I love pecan pie too. So
yeah.
Anyway, so Yeah, that's what happens, and like you said, now you can tell about the party.
Okay,
after
so there's a
the
party
Grand Prix.
after the Grand Prix.
After the dad loses the Grand Prix to the other guy, the guy that works for him.
Yeah. And she works it out so he'll stay too, and her dad gives him what his demands are, whatever they were, so that he would stay. So that gets resolved.
And she says she's quitting because she's going back to school. Mm-hmm. She's going to be a large animal veterinarian.
So her husband, Dennis Quaid, just grabs her and starts dancing with her. And they're really good. Like, he mentions at one point, like, they used to dance together when Caroline went to sleep.
Yeah.
And you can tell, they're really good together with that. So, they
have good chemistry.
Yeah, he's trying. He's trying. And he ends up climbing up into her bedroom window. Mm-hmm. Which, that's funny to me, too, because it's not even where she was usually sleeping. I think it's because the dad was kicked out, so the girls were sleeping.
I guess. I don't know.
In there. Because it was like a throwaway line when Kara Sedgwick's like, you can sleep in my house, Dad, or something. Mm-hmm. Like, how does Dennis Quaid know they're in this room? That's my only problem. But he climbs up into the room that the sisters are sleeping in, that is the one they grew up in, and he apparently used to do that. And,
yeah, I guess.
And he tries to, make amends with her there, and she doesn't want to.
Well, she says after they're done with their dance, where they play the "Let's give them something to talk about," she says after the dance is over, she goes, "A fitting end."
Yeah.
It sounds like she's done.
Yeah.
With the marriage.
Yeah, but we flash forward after she rejects him, and she is going what?
I was just gonna say she's in school now.
Yeah, she's finishing her large animal vet program.
Right.
And she says she has a date.
Oh, Dennis Quaid says to her, he says, "You should move into the house, you and his daughter."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I think it'll be better for her."
Yeah.
And
See, he's another good guy move.
He's like, "I'll find a place of my own."
He's trying to be a good guy, Greg. Not a bad guy, Steve.
Scumbag Steve.
Scumbag Steve, that was it. So she's living in the house with Caroline. She's going to school. He moved out, but he's there when she gets home cooking for her because he is her date.
Right.
And he's so excited that she finally said yes. He wanted to make sure nothing went wrong and all this stuff. It's really cute.
And she makes him try the food first,
right,
because could be poison.
So, we'll assume that, they get back together when she's, finishes school and they're happy.
They're rekindling this relationship.
Yeah.
That's the point of it. So now on to our thoughts on the movie. I'll say this from a technical point of view, because I know there are some of you film nerds out there like me that like to talk about this. From a technical point of view, it's fine. It's not innovative in any way.
Okay.
It's a romantic comedy. It's a chick flick, as they say. So it doesn't really need it, But a lot of the dialogue scenes are reverse shot. Very. That's when the camera's like over a character's shoulder and they're looking at the character talking, and then they go to the reverse angle where they're over the other character's shoulder and the other person's talking. They go back and forth between those two. It's the easiest way to film a dialogue scene, basically. But so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of shot reverse shot. There's not much. There's one tracking shot where her and the one guy, or the guy who's threatening to leave, are talking, where they're kind of dollying back as they're walking through the stable yards, which is kind of nice. But you would think with the landscape that they have to deal with and these horses and everything, you would think there'd be a little bit more artistry in some of the shots and everything. You get a little more of a scope of these farms and things like that. But that doesn't hurt the movie, because this movie's not about that. It's more of an intimate character study. So the camera being more locked down and the camera being more intimate on the faces and the reactions and stuff, it makes more sense in a movie like this to convey the emotion of the actual acting.
Yeah, I think the strength in this movie is the story, the writing, and the acting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's what you would expect in a movie about relationships. And I think it was Yeah, I think it was a happy ending without being a Pollyanna-ish ending.
Right.
Like an everything's going to be okay kind of ending. They have work to do.
Yeah.
But they find each other worth it. And I think the entire time when they're talking about things and the scenes they have together, kind of like you said with the dancing, you can see something between them. Mm-hmm. The fact that she poisoned him and he wasn't immediately like, I will never be with you ever again.
Well, I mean,
yeah, he said get a lawyer, but he's ending up wanting to date her again.
Yeah.
So I think that says a lot.
Well, and the fact that he cheated on her with more than one woman, at least one of which was her friend.
Yeah.
That says a lot there too, that she's willing to forgive that. So
yeah, no, I agree that there's definitely things in their relationship that are worth salvaging. And like you said, I mean, I think we can just kind of assume that they do. But Dennis Quaid is excellent. Julia Roberts is excellent, as
always are,
as we come to expect from them. Right.
Yeah.
The fact that Keira Sedgwick, Gina Rowlands, Robert Duvall, Brett Cullen's very good too. But the fact that they got these people with a track record and good actors to portray the secondary characters in the movie. I mean, it's, obviously the emphasis was on the acting and, like you said, the writing, and I think that's what shines through in the movie. But it's good. It's a good movie. It'll make you feel the appropriate feelings.
I'm sorry to go back, but I just remembered something we didn't talk about. While they're eating pecan pie, years of girls, like Southern women, like years of having to keep their expectations low. That's it. Remember, she says it's from years of being taught to keep our expectations low, that she's easy to please. So then she takes off and runs up to Caroline's room and wakes her up to tell her she can ride the horse that she's been wanting to ride this whole time. So, I mean, that's part of it, too, is the, kind of breaking free of the expectations of being a woman and showing her daughter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the mother-daughter relationship is a big thing in this from, each generation.
And the little girl is so cute.
Oh, yeah.
She's like going on a tirade about how she wants to ride the bigger horse, and she's like, and I'm getting sick and tired of you people.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry for going back, but I just remembered that.
It's okay. No, it's a good part of the movie. It's another theme that runs throughout the movie. Mothers and daughters is a big theme in the movie. But yeah, that is something to talk about. I'd recommend it. I think it's worth seeing. For
sure. I mean, yeah, it's a romantic comedy, but it's not like the cookie cutter romantic comedy, and it has so many good, funny, and quotable lines in it. So.
Take your girlfriend to see it. She'll thank you.
Yep.
But don't cheat on her.
No, she won't thank you for that.
No, not at all. But apparently you can be forgiven for it, because it happens twice in this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of the guys in this town were screwing around.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody was.
She airs all of their dirty laundry at this meeting, which is hilarious.
Yeah, all these women run away crying and stuff. It's not... Yeah,
except for the one. The one says it's the best meeting that they've ever had.
Yeah.
She's just an agent of chaos. But anyway, that is our show for the week. Carol, tell people.
So check out retrolatefee.com. Mm-hmm. We have a contest going on right now.
Yeah, that's right. If you're a fan of our other show, 90210 show, or if you just like, valuable prizes, you can go to retrolatefee.com and sign up there.
And, write us at latefee1994 at AOL.com. Tell your friends. And,
star it up.
All that stuff.
Yep. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.